All right, so you landed an interview for a forwarding manager position.
That's huge.
Yeah, especially these days. It's like you've tapped into this hidden job market.
Yeah,
You figured out how to get your application past the AI and in front of a real person.
definitely a big accomplishment.
So now let's make sure you absolutely nail that interview.
Preparation is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You sent us some great resources from RoleCatcher. Their career and interview guides are fantastic.
Yeah, lots to unpack there.
We're going to dive deep into those today. Get you prepped for those tricky questions you might face.
Yeah, we'll figure out what the interviewer is really looking for and give you some actionable strategies.
Speaking of impressing the interviewer, the career guide really paints this really dynamic picture of what a forwarding manager does. It's not just about logistics. It's more like managing a global chess game of shipments, deadlines, keeping clients happy.
It's a fast-paced role with lots of responsibility.
And the good salary and leadership potential are big pluses too. All right, so let's jump right into those interview questions. The first one is, can you describe your experience in managing and overseeing freight forwarding operations? Seems pretty straightforward, but what are they really trying to get at here?
They're looking for the depth of your experience. Not just job titles, but how you've handled the core functions. Planning shipments, coordinating with carriers, managing logistics, all of it.
The interview guide really stresses the importance of using specific examples. Instead of just saying, I manage shipments, maybe talk about a time you had to deal with a weather delay, but still kept the supply chain running smoothly.
Exactly. Quantify your achievements. If you negotiated a great rate with a carrier, mention the percentage you saved.
And speaking of optimization, RoleCatcher's AI can really help here. It can analyze your experience and tailor your answers to highlight the achievements that matter most to this particular employer.
That's right. You want to give them what they're looking for.
Okay, next question. What's the biggest challenge you've faced in managing freight forwarding operations, and how did you overcome it? What kind of story should you have ready for this one?
Pick a situation that really shows off your problem-solving skills. Ideally, something relevant to the company's industry or the challenges they face. Highlight the steps you took and the positive outcome you achieved.
I like it. Next one. How do you ensure compliance with customs regulations and other trade compliance requirements? This one might seem a bit dry, but it's obviously super important.
Absolutely. They want to see that you understand the complexities of international trade and that you take compliance very seriously. The career guide mentions staying up to date with industry publications and certifications.
Have you pursued any?
A few, yeah.
Good for you. So how can you demonstrate you go beyond just knowing the rules?
Talk about procedures you've implemented, maybe training programs for your team or a system for double-checking documentation.
Makes sense. They might also follow up with something like, have you ever had to deal with a shipment that was held up in customs? How did you handle it? It's all about how you problem solve under pressure, right?
Exactly. Walk them through your process. Show them you can think quickly, communicate clearly, and get things resolved.
This is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback comes in really handy. You can practice your answer, get personalized insights, and even see how you come across on video. Talk about a confidence booster.
I think we all get nervous on camera.
For sure. All right, let's talk money. The next question is, can you describe your experience in negotiating rates and contracts with carriers and other logistics service providers? This is where those negotiation skills come into play.
You need a deep understanding of how things work, the different transportation modes, their costs, and how to use them strategically.
The career guide mentions analyzing market trends to find cost-saving opportunities. It's not just about haggling.
Right. You need to understand things like fuel price fluctuations and how they impact rates.
So instead of just saying, I negotiated a good rate, you talk about how you analyzed market data, found leverage points, and created a win-win for everyone involved.
Precisely. Quantify your successes. Did you secure a volume discount? How much did you save the company? Make it tangible.
Okay, they might follow that up with something like, tell me about a time you had to negotiate a difficult contract with a carrier. What was your strategy and what was the outcome? It's a chance to show your tenacity, your ability to find solutions.
Absolutely. Choose a situation where there were obstacles, but you still managed to reach an agreement. Highlight your communication, problem-solving, and persuasion skills.
RoleCatcher's AI can help you fine-tune your answer here too, making sure you emphasize the skills that this particular employer values most. Maybe they prioritize cost saving, so you make sure that comes across loud and clear.
Smart. Okay, moving right along.
This next question is all about making sure those goods arrive safe and sound. How do you ensure that shipments are delivered on time and in good condition? Sounds simple enough, but there's a lot that goes into that, right?
It's about risk management, quality control, problem solving. They want to know you can anticipate issues and have plans in place to deal with them.
The career guide really highlights the importance of building those strong relationships with carriers. It's not just about finding the cheapest option. It's about trust and reliability.
Communication is key too. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Clients, suppliers, customs brokers, your own team.
To really showcase your risk management skills, you could talk about implementing a tracking system, conducting quality inspections, having clear communication protocols for when delays happen, things like that.
Great examples. Think about times you went above and beyond to make sure the delivery process went smoothly. Did you proactively address a potential delay, implement extra quality checks, maybe even personally oversee a critical shipment?
All right, curveball time. What would you do if a shipment was damaged in transit? How do you handle that?
Show them you can handle a crisis. Assess the situation, quickly communicate with everyone involved, initiate the claims process, and put preventative measures in place for the future.
RoleCatcher's AI can help you practice this response and tailor it to the specific employer. Maybe their website talks about sustainability. So you mentioned steps to minimize the environmental impact, even during a crisis.
Perfect example. Okay, let's move on to a question about your leadership skills.
Hit me.
Can you describe your experience in managing a team of forwarding coordinators?
Okay, so this is about how you lead and motivate a team.
Exactly.
The career guide actually breaks down the different career stages for forwarding managers, from coordinator all the way up to senior management. It's interesting to see that progression laid out.
This question is your chance to show your experience at different levels, even if you haven't had a formal management title yet.
So even if someone's never been a manager, they can still talk about mentoring colleagues, leading projects, taking initiative to improve team processes.
Absolutely. Highlight your ability to build trust, delegate effectively, give feedback, and motivate people to reach their goals.
Now, what if they ask, how would you handle a conflict between two members of your team? Classic test of your interpersonal skills.
Show them you can mediate, listen actively, and find solutions that benefit everyone.
RoleCatcher's AI can help you craft a really strong answer here, maybe suggesting specific conflict resolution techniques that align with the company's values.
Okay, let's move on to customer service, a crucial part of this role.
For sure. Question 6. How do you manage and resolve customer complaints related to freight forwarding services? Things don't always go perfectly in logistics, so how you handle those bumps in the road really matters.
They want to see that you're committed to customer satisfaction, that you can handle difficult situations professionally and with grace.
The career guide makes a good point about turning a negative experience into a positive one, building trust, exceeding expectations.
Exactly. Show them you can empathize, investigate the root cause of the problem, and offer a solution that goes above and beyond.
So instead of just saying, I resolved the complaint, you'd explain how you really listened to the customer, identified the underlying issue, and took steps to prevent it from happening again.
Precisely. And if you can quantify your successes even better, did you resolve a complaint that led to a positive online review? Did you turn a dissatisfied customer into a loyal advocate? Those details make a difference.
Here comes another one. Tell me about a time you received negative feedback from a client. How did you handle it? It's all about showing that you can learn and grow.
Pick a situation where you got some constructive criticism, took it on board, and made changes to improve your service. It shows you're committed to continuous learning and customer satisfaction.
And once again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you frame your answer in a way that really resonates with this specific employer. If their website talks about being customer-centric, you highlight your ability to build strong customer relationships.
All right, last question for this section.
Okay, bring it on.
Can you describe your experience in managing and optimizing freight forwarding costs? This is where you can shine if you've got a knack for efficiency and coming up with creative solutions.
This is about understanding cost management process, optimization, strategic thinking.
Exactly. They want to see that you're not just moving goods, but doing it in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible.
The career guide talks about the increasing use of technology in logistics, how forwarding managers are using those advancements to streamline operations and cut costs. It's fascinating to see how data analytics and automation are changing the industry.
Definitely. It's a great chance to show that you're up to date on these trends and that you're willing to embrace new technologies.
So instead of just saying, I saved the company money, you could talk about implementing a new software system that made your team more efficient and reduced admin costs. Or maybe you used real-time tracking to optimize delivery routes and save fuel.
Exactly. The key is to connect your actions to results. Did you find a cost-saving opportunity by analyzing shipping data? How much did you save? Show them the impact you made.
They might also ask, what are some key metrics you would track to measure the efficiency of your freight forwarding operations? They want to see that data-driven mindset.
Absolutely. Talk about things like on-time delivery rates, cost per shipment, customer satisfaction scores, the numbers that tell the story of how well your operations are running.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you identify the most relevant metrics for this particular employer. If their website talks about sustainability, you might want to mention metrics related to fuel efficiency or carbon emissions.
Before we move on, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. The RoleCatcher Career Guide gives us some great insights into what this role actually looks like day to day.
Right. It's not just about prepping for interview questions. You want to make sure this is the right fit for you.
Exactly. The guide mentions that while you'll spend a lot of time in an office setting, coordinating shipments, managing your team, there's also the potential for travel to warehouses, transportation hubs, even client sites.
So it's not just a desk job. It's a dynamic role that mixes strategic thinking with hands-on problem solving.
Exactly. And talking about teamwork, the guide highlights the wide range of people you'll be working with: carriers, customs brokers, clients, internal teams.
It really shows how important communication and interpersonal skills are. And as you move up the ladder, there's a clear path towards leading and mentoring others.
Absolutely. Now let's circle back to those interview questions. We've covered some big ones, but there are a few more we should explore.
Okay, I'm all ears.
This next one focuses on problem solving and adaptability. It's describe a time when you had to handle a complex or unexpected situation in freight forwarding. How did you approach it, and what was the outcome?
The classic curveball. They want to see how you think on your feet.
Exactly. They're not looking for someone who just follows procedures. They want someone who can think critically and find solutions when things go wrong. The guide suggests choosing a situation that shows your ability to assess the situation, gather information, come up with a plan, and execute it effectively.
So instead of just saying, I handled a difficult situation, you'd walk them through the steps you took. Highlight your analytical skills in decision-making.
Exactly. And don't forget to focus on the outcome. Did you manage to save this shipment? Minimize the delay. Keep the client happy. Those details make your story stand out and show how effective you are.
Okay, so let's say they follow up with, what did you learn from this experience, and how did it impact your approach to similar situations in the future? They want to see that you're not just a problem solver, but also a continuous learner.
Absolutely. Talk about the lessons you learned, maybe a change you made to your process or a new tool you implemented to prevent those issues from happening again.
This is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be super valuable. It can analyze your answer and suggest ways to really showcase your growth mindset, something a lot of employers look for these days.
Okay, let's move on to a question that tests your industry knowledge and strategic thinking.
All right, get me.
The question is, what are some current trends or challenges in the freight forwarding industry, and how do you see them impacting the role of a forwarding manager?
So they want to see that you're not just focused on the day-to-day tasks. You're engaged with the bigger picture of the industry.
Exactly. The career guide gives a great overview of industry trends, things like technological advancements increasing automation and the growing focus on sustainability.
It also mentions challenges like supply chain disruptions, geopolitical instability, and the need for more transparency and traceability.
Exactly. Your answer needs to show that you're aware of these trends and challenges, and that you've thought about what they mean for the role.
So you wouldn't just list a bunch of trends. You'd connect them to the specific responsibilities of a forwarding manager, showing how you'd adapt and succeed in this changing environment.
Exactly. Maybe you talk about how you'd use technology to streamline operations, build resilience into your supply chain, or implement sustainability initiatives to meet those changing customer demands.
Now they might follow up with, how do you stay informed about these trends and challenges? They want to see your commitment to continuous learning.
Absolutely. Mention specific publications, you read conferences, you attend professional organizations you belong to.
This is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can really help. It can analyze your answer, suggest relevant industry resources, and even tailor your response to highlight learning opportunities that this particular employer values.
Let's move on to the last question for this section. This one focuses on your ability to think strategically and prioritize effectively.
Okay, I'm ready.
The question is, imagine you're managing multiple shipments with different deadlines and priorities. How do you prioritize your tasks and ensure that everything runs smoothly?
This is all about organization and time management.
Exactly. The career guide suggests laying out a clear process, starting with figuring out the urgency and importance of each shipment, factors like deadlines, client expectations, potential risks or delays.
So instead of just saying, I'd prioritize based on deadlines, you'd walk them through your thought process. Maybe mention a specific tool or system you use to manage your workload.
Exactly. And highlight your ability to delegate tasks, communicate clearly with your team, and proactively deal with any potential problems.
Here's a possible follow-up. Describe a time when you had to juggle multiple priorities and deadlines. How did you manage your time and what was the outcome?
This is your chance to show off those organizational skills. Pick a situation where you had a lot on your plate, but still managed to meet all the deadlines and objectives.
And again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine your answer, making sure you're emphasizing the time management techniques and tools that are most relevant to this employer.
Before we wrap up this deep dive with our final thoughts, let's take a minute to talk about RoleCatcher and how their AI can really help you prepare for this interview.
Yeah, we've mentioned it a few times, but it's worth emphasizing how much those AI features can really up your game.
Totally. Their AI-powered copilot can analyze the job description and give you tailored feedback on your answers. It'll highlight the skills and experience that matter most to this employer.
It's like having a personal career coach in your pocket.
Exactly. And it's not just about the answers. It can also help you fine-tune your CV and cover letter, so they're perfectly aligned with the job requirements.
Which is so important these days with so many companies using those AI screening systems.
Right? By using RoleCatcher's AI, you can make sure your application stands out, gets past those initial hurdles, and increases your chances of actually getting noticed.
It's all about giving yourself that extra edge.
Exactly. Okay, before we wrap up completely, let's highlight a couple of key takeaways from the RoleCatcher Career Guide, things that'll really help you stand out in this interview.
The one that really jumps out at me is the importance of continuous learning in this industry. It's constantly changing. So staying ahead of the curve is essential.
Definitely. The guide suggests subscribing to industry publications like the Journal of Commerce or the Lodestar.
Oh yeah, those are great resources.
And attending conferences like the Air Cargo Forum or the Transport Logistics Trade Show.
Good ones.
It also mentions certifications like the Certified International Forwarding Agent or the Certified Supply Chain Professional.
It's all about showing them you're serious about your professional growth.
Absolutely. Now for that final thought, something to really think about as you start this exciting career journey.
I like it. Lay it on us.
Remember this. The world of freight forwarding is all about making connections.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. You're helping those goods move smoothly across borders. You're making a real impact on businesses and people all over the world.
It's about understanding how global trade works, the complexity of logistics, building strong relationships with everyone involved.
And embracing technology and new ideas to make things more efficient, more sustainable, and keep those customers happy.
We've only just scratched the surface today. Make sure you check out the full career and interview guides on RoleCatcher. They're packed with useful information that will help you nail that interview.
You've got this. We're confident you'll impress them with your knowledge, your experience, and your passion for this industry.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exciting exploration of the career world.